From the depths of internet, we come to you. Bad news, good news, dead horse beating news. Even no news will stop us. We'll make news. Even if it is in dumpster fire. We bring you integrity, except when it's EA, Ubisoft, Bethesda, Star Citizen, practically all of them. Movies, shows, and other industry bullshit. This totally is not a waste of time, but it sure is. Space Waste News! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for some Space Waste news for the month of February. Sorry about the 3-day delay there, I guess. Kinda not used to... but whatever. Here we go, for the February. Holy fuck. Okay. Right. Well, un momento. Very professional, I know. Just, yep, there we go. We got all the topics. Alright, so... February was rather interesting month, both for myself and for the video games especially. But there are actually some interesting topics we can talk about for the next at least hour or so. So hopefully you've strapped in, got some popcorn, and off we go, basically. So then, let's see. We could start with I suppose a little bit of personal stuff. So essentially for the first half of February, I was experimenting, trying to produce as many pieces of content as I could, essentially trying to do the 30-day 30 video challenge, well, for my own sake, sort of seeing how, or whether or not I even can do it, and I succeeded it with some leeway too, so that was pretty nice overall. The quality of the content, it varied, but, you know, there's that. So, at the very least, I know I can actually just push out, you know, stuff that is somewhat viewable, which I certainly could not have done probably 5 years ago easily. So, yeah, it's been interesting to, you know, from time to time test your own skills. Another thing that I tested out, and some of you might have noticed, and sorry about that, I published shorts alongside, well, rather after the whole 30-day thing. Basically just cutting little pieces out of those 30 videos, and I figured just, you know, as an extra stuff, you know, as I'm gearing for a bigger video right now, actually a couple of them actually, but you know, something to publish, just for the fun of it, since, you know, YouTube says, oh, well, publishing shorts is a great way to do whatever and blah, 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 but in the end of it, yeah, statistics are really, really weird and not good, and I think I'm completely fucking done with YouTube shorts. Yes, this little experiment, which is why you might have seen yesterday and today as well in the morning, that I basically just spammed, if you will, those shorts. I just needed to get rid of them, and I am in process of literally making something a lot more fun in a video format, also pertaining to Elite Dangerous, so expect that tomorrow to come out absolutely, because fuck shorts, I'm done. They're useless, pointless waste of time, garbage. At least for a creator that is, you know, a 10-year stature, making, you know, actual videos, not... Yeah, I'm streaming already, god damn it, that was just a reminder for Space Waste News. Alright, so, fuck YouTube Shorts, genuinely hate it. I thought of, well, hey, it could, you know, couldn't hurt. Well, guess it did! Yes, it did hurt! Fuck my life. Anyways, right, so that reinforces my belief that actual videos should and is my main thing, rather than streams or that sort of a garbage. So no, right? Expect actually quality content coming forth from then on. And actually, I do want to focus on just focusing on not higher budget stuff, but well refined stuff and actually well thought out or targeted for a specific niche or specific topic rather than more of a meandering stuff before. But regardless, we'll see how that works out, if you will. There are other things that the YouTube end Nemix is thinking about, but well, that's that. Anyways, right then, about the news. Right then, well, we start the month with some interesting stuff. Yeah, let's start with something smaller and upbeat, if you will. Right, so last Starship, a little early access, or rather demo type of a game that popped into my inbox a little while back, was finally released this month, but in early access. So that's kind of a disappointment, frankly, for me. But still, the game seems like a rather interesting sort of a combination of Faster Than Light and Star Sector. Yeah, Star Sector and Faster Than Light in kind of a way. But the problem with the game, generally speaking, is, well, everything, if you will. There's no content specifically. After the first two sectors, well, very similar to what No Man's Faster Than Light would have, there's nothing. There's no story, there's no reason to keep on playing. It's just keep on playing with every sector slightly higher the mission prices and then slightly higher enemies, but that's about it. It's just endless and not really fun, I would say, but yeah, that's kind of the problem with it. Great base, build any ship, well, to manage it, and of course do whatever missions you choose to, and of course continue on from then on as the ticking clock behind you is coming for you. And it is good game, or at least I could tell you to go and check it out for yourself. God damn it, who wants what from me? Yeah. Anyways, go check out its demo, but the developers decided to close it. And that, personally, I didn't see as a positive thing at all. Personally, I feel from a side, as a media reporter, whatever you want to call me, right? As a lack of confidence within your product. So what rather developers choose is that you spend money on the game, and if you don't like it, then you refund it. But let's be frank, refunds, who's gonna bother refunding, for $20 or something like that, right? Who's gonna bother that much? Maybe quite a lot of you, but not all. And that's kind of the thing with demos are fantastic. And developers who choose to release demos for their games, I applaud you. And just that, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but Anyways. So yeah, last Starship, we'll see how that goes within time, just like Prison Architect, but time will show, essentially. Right, next thing for the news. Oh god, we're gonna get into the shit right away. Right. Okay, so the first thing that released not this month, but February month was Hogwarts Legacy, and there were a couple of interesting things about the game. Well, let's set the stage for the Hogwarts Legacy, right? So, Harry Potter, well beloved and quite entertaining movie set, as well as group of books, right? Produced by J.K. Rowling, right? Back in the day, those movies, everyone enjoyed, and there was a craze about it as well. And I still do enjoy, to some extent, those movies. But in the recent times, let's just say Rowling hasn't been quite sane in some ways, I suppose. There's the whole retweeting on the Twitter wars. It started with some inane nonsense, then it got a bit weirder and weirder as she started delving into the British called turfers, right? The what was it? Trans-exclusionary radical feminism. There we go. They renamed themselves since, but yeah, there was the whole that stuff essentially, and of course, you know, what was it? The trans community, I think it was, and well, others, of course, the LGBT, that side of things, started posting just boycotts and so on and so forth about Hogwarts Legacy, just the whole kerfuffle essentially. Ultimately, what ended up happening was essentially the Hogwarts Legacy released to actually quite positive reviews. I think most outlets reviewed it to about 8 out of 10, give or take. Seemed visually playable and all that stuff, right? But there was one specific thing that was odd about the review part of things, and that's where it got really interesting for me, because I personally don't care. I didn't have the time for it anyway, so yeah, I'll see what's what if I have the time. Anyways, what was interesting was one specific review. While every single outlet out there, reviewed the game to lesser or more fanfare, whatever, right? 7s, 6s maybe here and there, and 8s most of the time. A reviewer from Wired, Wired.com, reviewed it out 1 out of 10. And that stood out tremendously. Yeah, it's interesting. Both sides of the the turfer thing and J.K. Rowling thing. Those that support her, those that don't care, those that are completely against her. Basically, there's just idiots all around. Essentially, me as a media person, I look at the whole thing as review it as is, right? And don't skimp on the details, right? If Rowling is being a cunt, well, mention it, right? Mention also the, positives, negatives, and so on and so forth. Obviously, what emphasis and what weight you put on the, reviews, where, well, that's up to you, personally. No single review is objective. That's bottom of the line, right? You can try and be as objective as you can, but yeah, there's that. But it's interesting that rather than seeing 10 out of 10s left and right, like you would expect from something even IGN, I don't think gave it 10 out of 10, but to go so far. To just simply ignore all the and if you read the review itself, again, Wired.com, Hogwarts Legacy, go check out the review. I'm not gonna link it. I'm not gonna show it. Since review itself or the article itself deserves your view if you really are interested. But giving you highlights, it's just odd. It's just odd how willing or how willingly ignorant we can be that for something or against it, right? Whether or not you're in one or the other camp or straight down the middle, the usual joke about gamers.tm is that there's this atrocity, who cares, it's a good game, that sort of attitude. And let's be frank, a lot of you do, I myself included, right? But, hey, recognizing problems or problematics is still something that at the very least you'd expect from a reviewer. This time, not the review itself is really interesting to read, because overall, aside from the score, it does actually highlight details, here and there that are somewhat fair, sure, with a slight stint on, either way of the opinion spectrums, but just the obviousness is just weird. That's the thing. So yeah, never be ignorant of the positives or the negatives. And that precludes to not only just the game itself, but the real world implications too. We must remember those. And hey, I'm kind of guilty of that myself, as a matter of fact, if you didn't know. If you go look at my Call of Duty review that recently last year came out, I didn't take the time to actually bash Activision for the sex scandals, abuse scandals, and all that stuff. I should have. But hey, there you go. Let's just say Yemex forgot. And again, not ignorant of it. Frankly speaking, I probably should have put more effort there too, or rather, not effort, but focus on that too, because Activision is garbage, right? So yeah, being ignorant of the companies that make our products, being bad is willful ignorance, and that's never good, right? So there you go. Anyways. Right, so that's the Hogwarts Legacy, which had some interesting stuff indeed. Yeah. Next thing though is another questionable product, which I originally wanted to cover, but ended up just choosing not to, and that is the Atomic Heart. Right, so the actually month started with specifically relegating to regarding Atomic Heart, a tweet from Mick Gordon. Who is the audio composer? Well, I don't think he was the only audio composer, but who is one of the audio composers for Atomic Heart. He, in his tweet, explained that essentially he is donating his whole fee that he got from working on Atomic Heart to support and help, support. Support. Oh, god damn it! What was the whole topic, whole charity that he did for? But essentially to help Ukraine, right? The whole thing for the Red Cross of Australia to support Ukraine. I don't remember the whole war effort relief. Was it? I'm trying to remember the whole charity's name, but War Effort Relief, I think it was, or something like that, essentially. But yeah, his whole fee for that cause. And yeah, originally I thought, okay. The bottom line is, Atomic Heart is in part not supported, but there are investors associated with the Atomic Heart development team, Mundfish, and there are some very shady things as well about the developers themselves that are, well, not shady, but rather unclear things as well. There are some, details that just kind of felt off. And the thing is, I myself, living in Latvia and what else, have very strong opinions against Russia as a country. Especially now with the war in Ukraine, absolutely supporting Ukraine and just, yeah. But still, I was thinking, okay, I could still somehow review it, but no. In the end, I decided the review would be laced with just not even bitterness, but just unfun comments left and right. Not only politics stuff as well. I have very strong thoughts on communism and uselessness of it. Seeing my own fucking country recover from it. Yeah, it's just it wouldn't be fun review, and ultimately it would become just simply not a fun video to watch, listen, or even make. And I left it to somebody else who would potentially find it more interesting or a way to cover it without the biases that I personally find. And that was me ducking out of or rather wait, what? The term ducking out. Oh, god damn it. Just letting someone else who's more competent do the thing. Yes. There you go. Ukraine crisis appeal. I don't remember which one was it, but it was the again. Yeah, but that was the big Gordon thing, and learning from Mick Gordon as well. I figured, well, yeah, I know my biases. I cannot in proper stance actually review it, so I'm just gonna let it go. Have my own opinion. So this is as much as of a review you're really gonna get, sadly. So there is that. But that's understanding your own limitations, and hopefully you folks understand it. So yeah, fuck Russia. Anyways, moving on. Right. So oh god, we can't get away from borked games. Okay, right. So the next thing that came out, actually quite at the end of February, was Kerbal Space Program 2. And it wasn't good. Though I was being rather hopeful in my quote-unquote pre-review, which again is not a real review. It's not supposed to be. I do mention it. But yeah, basically, oh god, Kerbal Space Program. We've been waiting for Kerbal Space Program for about 10 years. One mistake I did make, and a lot of people corrected me in the pre-review, was what was it? Right. The dev team wasn't the same, and in fact, the main people from the old KSP, that squad team, I think it was the dev team's name, got fired by Take-Two, and now it's just a whole bunch of different folk working on the new Kerbal Space Program. Right, so what were the problems with the Kerbal Space Program? The performance and the minimum requirements, just absolutely disgusting. So yeah, have I been involved in any game development? On the public side, no. Not a single product I've worked on. Well, not a lot of them either. So the answer is no. I've trained to kind of work in that sort of a sphere. That was my original goal until YouTube allowed me to, be more of a media person than coder or whatnot else. But yeah. I preferred code to artistry, but that's my thing. Anyways, moving on then. Right, Kerbal Space Program, essentially. Oh gods, right. So the performance was one of them. Optimization was barely existent, frankly speaking, though more than a few other games on early access. That was one of those problems. The minimum requirements require you to have RTX 3080. Recommended spec graphics card. RTX 3080. What the fuck were they smoking? I mean, yeah, we get it. You're running... Actually, what the fuck were they running? You would expect that physics calculations would happen on CPU more than the GPU, but... There you go. But no, there are problems with culling. There's problems with level of detail, very much. That's one of the optimization parts that I noticed immediately that made the performance really bad. So that's another one. Oh god, the poor Kerbals. The fact that it released in early access was already pretty annoying for basically everyone. I mean, maybe they didn't work 10 years on Kerbal Space Program 2, but they've worked for such a long time to release a game that is, well, barely any different from the last one with just more textures. What the fuck is this? An early access at that, not with full features? For $50? Yes, the early access is for $50, and that's the thing that really disheartened a lot of people. Yes, the current review should be getting a slightly better reception on Steam, but it still should be around 50 to 51% of positive. Just that, because of those couple of things. And of course, feature-wise, not to mention features, right? Essentially, compared to Kerbal Space Program 1, it barely has any new features that the first game didn't have, and a lot of missing features from the first game. So they couldn't even release a full first game's reboot, remake, whatever it is supposed to be. And that was the disappointing part about it. I still see the spark in Kerbal. Kerbal was and is still a wonderful bridge between hard rocket science and more than that, hard space sim stuff. It really is. It really is a bridge between that and more casual audiences with the cutesy Kerbals themselves. It's phenomenally, wonderfully capturing that hardcore stuff with the more kiddie stuff, and that's a good thing. But the same can be said about the first game. In fact, more can be said about the first game rather than the current second one, and that's the sad thing about it too. They could have just released a proper one or delay it some more to actually release, at least a comparable game rather than whatever they released. So here we go. And that's the Kerbal. Yes, now it's out, and now they have to dig themselves out of a trench, as I called it in the review. That's the saddest thing. It really is. But there we are. Now, right. Oh, right. And there are some additional features or unfinished features in the game's files, dump date, and similar stuff. Those things were already leaked on Reddit. So yeah, there are things coming. But another thing that some Kerbal Space Program, not developers, but some creators were concerned about was that the roadmap that they published about the early access and the way they will develop the game is that most of those new feature steps might end up being a fucking paid DLC rather than, for the game itself. And that's, for extra money, you already spent $50. And a trust, right? Trust for them to develop something till the end. That's the kind of a saddest thing about the Kerbals. It could have been such a positive thing, and it's slightly positive, sure, but that's just me being, more kinder to a game that I'm not fully familiar with. The space hardcore simulator stuff. Rather than the space sim stuff. But honestly speaking, knowing how games are developed, plus it being Take-Two, yeah, I'm not sure. So yeah. Well, anyways, speaking of something slightly positive, I suppose. How about Darktide? Do you remember Darktide? Warhammer 40k Darktide. Yes, the incest baby copy of a copy of a copy kind of a game from Fat Shark, released last year. I reviewed it, I covered it, and the one thing I didn't focus a lot on, but was very important for a lot of people, was crafting system. That wasn't present on the launch, while the microtransactions, skins, cosmetics were present. And boy oh boy, do we love to see features being delayed or in place of more microtransactions in place of actually, a paid game, right? Remember, Darktide was and is a paid game too on top. So that kind of shows where the priorities of Fat Shark are. And frankly speaking, the result was very mediocre at best, with some exceptional parts, but ultimately rather pathetic. However, now in February 22nd, they released patch number 4, which introduced that crafting system. Whatever, as much of a crafting as you could get in there, right? And it's been months since then. So yeah, they don't deserve applause. everyone's done with the game, and those that are sticking around are, well, frankly speaking, the hardcore. And the saddest thing about the hardcore is they are a lot more judgmental, and Steam reviews also reflect that. Sadly for them, because let's see, if I remember correctly, on Steam, Darktide was judged. Around or for all time reviews, it is judged as a 56% positive game, give or take, while the recent reviews are 44% positive. Yeah, that's yeah, it kind of shows. It kind of shows, and sadly, I'm done. I'm done with Warhammer 40k. I'm not gonna play it anymore, sadly, because hey, if it actually had all the features on the go and didn't have microtransactions, it genuinely could have been a wonderful alternative. Worse, but still a good alternative than Left 4 Dead. I would still prefer Left 4 Dead with mods, but that would be a great alternative. Sadly, microtransactions and basically just well, the crafting system not being in place, or rather microtransactions being in place of a fucking crafting system, priorities, if you will. So that's fun. So yeah, there we go. Anyways, moving then on from Darktide, Last of Us. Yeah, I stopped doing the Last of Us series or episode reviews, mostly because nobody watched them and nobody particularly cares. So here's my chance to, vent a little bit about them, and it's good. Yeah, currently at least the 7th episode I think is out, and it's let's see. All but maybe 1 or 2 episodes are far better than the game, especially right now. The 7th, 8th, 7th and 6th episodes are genuinely a lot prettier, a lot more enjoyable, a lot more fun to watch than it was to play through them. Because if you go back and on YouTube, check out those same sections in the game. They're just ugly. They're disgustingly colored. They're a product of their time. At the time when Last of Us 1 was released and those particular segments were placed, it gained the same color scheme as most other games at the time, especially on console. Brown or dark green, that sort of shit. You know what's up. So seeing more relaxed view of the same scene within the TV show is absolutely good. Still, actor-wise, Pedro Pascal and the Ramsey kid, not the most chemistry, I would say. They're getting up there, but it doesn't quite match the game's story and performances, sadly. So it is what it is, but it is prettier, and thus far not much changes, or not many changes. And all right, we'll see where it goes, and it's definitely getting more positive, and I can actually say that in parts it genuinely is better than the game. Yeah. So if you haven't checked out Last of Us, go check it out. The TV series, 7 episodes are out. This weekend is 8. So yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show, at least for now. We'll see about that later, but of course, we'll see. Right. Something more positive then. Yeah, let's go with PlayStation then. Right. So, those that have been, running around in tech sphere might have noticed that PlayStation VR 2 has finally released, and reviews seem good. Genuinely, because let's see, the spec-wise, the most important parts that matter, at least for me, would be the OLED screens. That would be definitely the biggest selling point of PlayStation VR 2. After that, it's the 2K x 2K pixel screen for per eye. That's also good with OLED, really nice. 120 hertz refresh rate, still not beating the 144 hertz of Valve Index that I have, but 120 is wonderful. So that's also really good. And the price wise, let's see. Shit, I didn't write the price. Somebody can put it in the chat, so I'll mention it. But yeah, the price wise was notably more than the PlayStation VR 1. So yeah, but for the tech that it has, it's wonderful. However, there is one problem that I still have with PlayStation VR. And that is the inside out tracking. Essentially, the headset itself is, plastered with cameras or sensors essentially, and they track the joysticks or whatever, right? Whatever you have. And well, okay, no, it's not necessarily that. It also uses oh god, it was the PlayStation bar thing, so it's not exactly inside out, but well, for all intentions and purposes, the tracking is worse than actual outside in tracking that a lighthouse style VR headset would have. And I much rather have lower quality screens, higher refresh rates, and better tracking than the clarity of the picture fully. That's just me. I much rather love to see the performance of it than the pretty pictures. That's been my thing forever, really. I do appreciate good pictures, sure, but it's not be all and end all. So that's the biggest problem I have still with PlayStation VR, but it is very promising. Right. So yeah. Let's see. Right. Let's move on then to some game cheating stuff, shall we? This month, a fellow content creator by the name of Goat, a known Escape from Tarkov streamer and video creator, did a really interesting video, literally picking up cheats from whatever cheat site they can get, getting a wall hack, basically that the thing that allows him to see through walls, essentially where everyone is. Escape from Tarkov, those that don't know, is an extraction royale. I hate the term, it's really stupid, but basically you spawn in a map, relatively speaking small player amount, about 30 people at most, or maybe hell 10, right? You go around, loot, maybe shoot some NPCs, and extract with the loot. Unless, of course, you get killed by one of those NPCs or another player. So that's how the game essentially works. It's a very high detail, hyper poly FPS game. It's or game in making, because it still hasn't been released, because it's in beta. Yay! Anyways, I've talked about it. I played it. I love it. But I don't love the developers. The problem was that everyone knew that Escape from Tarkov was riddled with cheaters. Riddled, like genuinely infested tremendously. There was basically very few anti-cheat attempts, if you will, from the developers, and this creator, Goat specifically, chose to pick up one of those types of cheats. Wall hack specifically, that allowed him to see where everyone is on the map at all times, right? As you would expect from a wall hack, right? Which gives tremendous advantage to anyone who uses. Obviously, in such a game where you have to be careful where you go and not get ambushed by a player, especially when the sound is very important and when time to kill is very very low. So one bullet, even from something like a 9mm pistol, kills you, even if you have helmets or whatnot else, if you get hit in the wrong place. So there is that. So yeah, essentially, he picked up this cheat and then started investigating who's cheating too. Essentially, trying to goat somebody from forgive the name, but goad some potential suspects into responding in a certain way. What basically he did, and I recommend go check out his video. His wonderful video, really phenomenally fun to watch and very eye-opening. But basically what he did was with the wall hack on, by a wall, he's, not visible for anyone. He's not moving. He can't be detected by any kind of a player unless they, of course, stumble upon it immediately. So he just starts wiggling left and right, leaning, as you would do in, tactical shooters, right? And then trying to see who is responding in very similar kind. That kind of shows they know where you are and they are looking at you. And obviously they know what you're doing and thus also responding and showing that they are cheating. Oh, it's a wonderful video. Genuinely shows the lack of anti-cheat and a massive problem that Escape from Tarkov is, or rather, not is, but has been suffering for a long time. And the thing is, I haven't followed them as much for the last, 3 to 4 years since I stopped playing it, after they DMCA'd a fellow creator. Always the common joke about Escape from Tarkov was everyone's cheating. Like, every server is infested with cheaters, and thus, here we go. That was one of the wonderful showcases of just the rampancy of cheating nonsense that went on within Escape from Tarkov. I really recommend checking it out. Again, GOAT with 040, and you can find the video easily because it's a very popular one, or the so-called "the" video. So yeah, right. Spaceborne, don't care, don't want to, fuck off. That's all I can say. Too many people have asked about it. I'm gonna be very mean at that game, and I don't want to. That's all I'm gonna say. It doesn't look like something that I would be particularly kind to, despite the fact that it's made by one person, potentially. Yeah, no. It's not in the state that I would. That's as much as I'm gonna say. All right, moving on then. Oh, right. Actually, a positive thing about this month also is that about a week ago, Sons of the Forest, the sequel to The Forest, essentially Ark/Rust clone of a game released, and it's coming out with semi-positive to highly positive reviews, and it seems all right. Personally, I'm sick of these games. Like I've seen so many of them. Mostly I'm sick of these games because none of them get finished. Not even Rust is properly finished, nor Ark is finished. Ark is the most disgusting thing I've seen. But anyways, in the last Next Fest, Steam's event where they promote demo games, essentially, I started counting. I started counting how many Rust/Ark clones did I see. And by the end of it, it was shocking. I counted about 3 to 4 that kind of game immediately. New ones that I haven't seen before. Then I remember the Next Fest before the last one. And, I tried only 2 such games. But once I sniffed out what those games were, I immediately dropped them because all of them never get finished and are fucking shit. Like, it's disgusting. Sons of the Forest might be a different game, but I'm just done with those types of games. All it took me to hate these games or these types of games were Ark. I absolutely despise how it's coded and on technical level how it's made. Visually, it's impressive. Not impressive, but awe-inspiring. There you go. That would be a great term. It's a mediocre-looking game, but the whole world is, as an idea, is a wonderful one. I really like the idea, but it pisses me off how bad it is. How bad it is on the basic technical side of things. So there you go. Right. Arc will be never finished. They'll have hundreds of maps to sell us. Yeah, sounds about right. Frankly speaking, wasted 4,000 hours in Arc. Hate wildcard much? Sure. Yeah. Why not? Let's go with that. All right. What else did I get? Right. Everything's fine. Okay. Then moving on to one of the last two topics. Let's end on a really high note. So the topic that I'm gonna go before that is apparently well. Do you remember a little while back there was this one write-up floating around in games media about Half-Life Episode 3. A writer, an ex-employee of Valve Software, published a write-up about it was called like Wibbly Wobbly something. Basically, thinly veiled episode 3 story that he wrote for it, essentially not used, of course, or at least was planned to be to a certain degree used. Not necessarily. Again, since it has never come out, it's hard to tell whether or not it was even considered much. But regardless, now the same person has come on Rock Paper Shotgun's interview. You can check out the article there as well. Again, Rock Paper Shotgun Half-Life. What's it called? The narrative had to be baked into corridors. Wait, no, what? Well, anyways, see Laidlaw. That's the writer's name, Laidlaw. So search by his name, you'll find it easily. Right. So essentially, he writes that if somebody had talked with him when or before he published the whole write-up about episode 3, he probably would have not released it because it's lonely on an island or something like that he said. Essentially, being alone, or rather not communicating with folks, it was kind of easy to just have fun, and that's what he wanted to just have fun with a write-up that was thinly veiled about Half-Life Episode 3. Now, in retrospect, he is saying that essentially that put needless extra pressure or expectations on his old colleagues or the company, and yeah, you can understand it. I personally enjoyed it. Hell, even if it doesn't ever come out as a full story or a game, screw it. It's a version of a story, and I don't mind until it actually is put in code and then released as a full game. Anyways, then I will count it as canon. Otherwise, it's fun. Even if it is more credible fan fiction, I'll consider it as fan fiction, so I don't mind it, but I can understand his apprehensiveness, for, or at least now, for such things. But, it's still an interesting interview. I do recommend skimming through it. It has some interesting information there, too, overall. And, yeah, that's that piece. Next and the last piece for this Space Waste news. Holy fuck, I'm gonna be actually in managing this whole thing before an hour's mark, so that's fantastic. Right, and of course, all these Space Waste news reports, monthly things, I'll put on public so anyone can view it. And of course, in the description there should be a link for the playlist of all the Space Race news back when I did it with Pilot. So go check him out if you want to just listen to me and Pilot talk about how he's a fanboy of Marvel or something. Yeah, anyways. anyways, the last piece of news for this evening. And of course, got to plug my own stuff first and foremost before don't mind me blueballing you a little bit. Do check out the Patreon if you want to support the content I make, and it really does come in handy, especially experimenting with, all sorts of content. Again, apologies about the fucking shorts. I will never make any fucking shorts again. I hate the format, and YouTube is punishing me for publishing them. Even if it was one short a day. Nah, it's still punishment that the YouTube inflicts upon being to a certain degree. So yeah, not gonna fucking do that again. Back to good old big videos and stuff. So yeah, there you go. So then, Patreon. Also, punishing you. How? Essentially, there are certain metrics that decrease. Yeah, that's as far as I'm gonna go. Not gonna bore you with anything specific, but there are. Well, it's not as bad as when I did publish some random videos unrelated to my, usual content for the past 3 months. Every time I published a video, it was a notable decrease in many stats. With the shorts, it's not that. It's just one of the stats. But it's still one of the fucking stats, which is disgusting. So at the end of the day, you think, well, what the fuck am I gonna do with my, content? How can I grow? Should I go back to, making, I don't know, PlanetSide 2 videos, right? Or Elite Dangerous content only and not cover anything else. But I want to cover Star Citizen. I want to cover No Man's Sky. They are positive, well, sometimes, and often negative things as well, depending on which one you look at. But the point is, I do want to cover something more, and hell, I want to make game reviews too, right? But every time you decide, oh, this would be a great video idea that would allow me to, try something creative differently, YouTube says, no! So, sorry about ranting, but there you go. But hey, after 10 years, I still barely understand YouTube or how to do the YouTube thing. I'm trying, god damn it. Oh, well, it is what it is. But, hey, it's a challenge. It's a challenge that I ain't gonna be just that easily defeated by. So, off we go. Right, the last topic, god damn it. Elden Ring DLC is announced. Yes, on Twitter just recently, the Shadow of Earth 3 DLC name has been announced. They are still developing it, so it'll be some time until we actually see a expansion DLC thing for Elden Ring, and I'm certainly awaiting for it. In fact, for the last couple of weeks, just in the evening, not always, but from time to time, I turn on my Steam Deck and just play my incantation build. I finished melee build when I reviewed it. I finished the magic build during editing of the review, and now I figured, well, it's a high time enough to, progress with my incantation build to see just how different the gameplay is, because I never really used magic, and boy oh boy, magic is easy mode. Like, genuinely, there are very few instances where melee is better, but no, magic is just easy mode. Incantations is in between. Absolutely. There are easy moments with it, extremely easy moments with it, but there you go. Yeah, if you need, recommendations. Yeah, spells, magic easy mode, incantations medium, and melee builds like I like to usually do, without shields, mind you. That's the hard mode, and I love it! Alright then, but yeah, there you go. That's all the news I have for now. I'm certainly looking forward to the most on the DLC for Elden Ring. That's the only news piece that I have for the future anyways. Everything else has already happened, so... Well, I mean, except for Kerbal Space Program and the last Starship, but... Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this space-based news, and I'll see you then next time, or rather in about a month for March, and the summary for that. So take care, and I'll see you then next time. Where the fuck is the button?